All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully we're all in the right place. So this is a workshop entitled Becoming an Advocate for Children, Youth, and Families. This is a way that we have come to recognize and characterize our program here in Child and Adolescent Development at San Jose State. So I neglected to put in a slide with a bio as I had been instructed by our amazing conference organizers. So I'll just go ahead and spend a second just talking about myself and my background, how I got to where I am. Mostly just because I think that by sharing that trajectory, sometimes I feel like it resonates with people. And if that seems like a trajectory that does resonate with you, if it's interesting, we can talk about that. Otherwise, what I do is as students bring up and participants in workshops like this, questions about career paths that extend beyond my purview, I like to try to pair them up with people and colleagues that I know. So as I said before, my name is Dr. Emily Slusser. I'm the department chair at Child and Adolescent Development here at San Jose State. I am a faculty member in the program as well. That's kind of how it operates. The faculty come in and out of these administrative roles. So I'm 3 years into a 4-year term as the chair of the department, but I've been in the department for about 10 years now. Before that, I studied cognitive development in my graduate school programs. I studied how children think and learn and how they go about those processes as we can apply them in early childhood education settings. So most of my work and my research focuses on that early age range from birth to about age 5 or 6 or so. And that has me going out into early childhood classrooms, doing observations, assessments, games with young children to get to know more about how they're thinking and processing the information that's coming at them. My focus is really on children's early number and math skills. It's a fascinating line of work. Before that, I was part of a community outreach program that focused on language and literacy. So that's what I did after I graduated with my BA in psychology. In that program, I was able to work with preschool children and sites again on language and literacy interventions. And I found that work to be incredibly fascinating, but I wanted to learn a little bit more about the mechanisms behind the processes that we were doing. Why do we read to children this way? Why do we talk to children this way? What is the best way to introduce young children who are exposed to multiple languages to early literacy? So I got a little bit more interested in asking the questions. And so that shifted me into graduate school and then academia, and now here in an Institute of Higher Education, working with students and professionals in the field of early childhood education. So that's a little bit about me and my background. So you can tell I can speak a lot about my experience as early childhood, but our program extends all the way from birth through adolescence and even to young adulthood. And we do have programs that focus on the elementary school age, TK through 8. So we'll talk about all of that today. There's a lot to talk about when we're looking at our program in child and adolescent development. All right. So this is what I have on the agenda for today. We've got about an hour with each other. I was going to give an overview of our department programming and more importantly, what our students are doing as they go through our program and graduate from our program. So that way we can all think about what our next steps are in our career trajectories, whether they have you interacting with our department or not. It's certainly, I hope, an opportunity for you to think and reflect and make some plans. So we'll talk specifically about our program and the degree pathways that we offer, and then I'll give some more information, hopefully having convinced you of the amazing programming we have to apply in our program. And then we'll make sure that we have some time for questions and answers at the end. So I do want to make sure that the presentation is tailored to you. So if you could also, in addition to sharing some information in the chat, join me in menti.com. That would be great. Now, Menti should be pretty easy for you to go ahead and access via a phone, a tablet, or your computer. All you need to do is go to this web address, www.menti.com. You can just go ahead and type it in, menti.com. It should get you there. When you get into the system, go ahead and enter the 51023012. And then hopefully that will get us all on the same page. Now I'm going to stop my share for just a second so that I can follow along with you in our Mentimeter.
Should we do, everybody, should we do the Menti, or is it just a volunteer?
There we go. Yeah, I see some people are in there already. So yes, absolutely. Go ahead and click your answers to this first question. This is just a check-in. And actually, if I go ahead and share my screen, you can see the responses populate as we go through. So far, people are doing pretty well. That's great. I'm so sorry about the 20% of you, which may just be one respondent who's not feeling so great. I get it. It's the end of the week. We've got the change in weather. I know that's getting people's allergies kicking in. What else do you have to share? Anybody else in Menti with me? How are we doing? Thanks for your reactions in the screen too.
I don't know how to download it. I have to download it from Google or somewhere.
Oh no, you should just be able to sign in, just going to www.menti.com. And then it just...
Okay, where should I put www in the chat?
Yes, the same link that's in the chat.
Oh, where is it?
Let me put it in there again. So www.menti.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yep. And then when you get in there, you can just enter in that code 5102 3012.
You know, I'm trying, but it's not going.
Oh, don't worry about it, Nejin. Then don't worry about it. It's just a check.
Yeah, I'm trying too. Mine's not going. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, all right. That's fine.
I know how to do it, but
I'm super though.
You're super. Oh, I'm great. Okay, so we got one more in this column. Not a problem. If you're not in there, that's okay. It's you know, I was hoping it would work to get us all on the same page, but we can certainly put it in the chat. Absolutely. Not a problem. If you are in Mentimeter and you want to tell me a little bit more about what you're interested in getting out of this workshop, you can go ahead and put it in there or in the chat. You can also just unmute and let me know.
Is it what we're interested in, like our hobbies, or what we're interested in about this course?
Oh, that's right. Thank you for prompting me to explain what I had in mind here. Yeah, so I am interested in learning more about what you're interested in learning more about in the context of this workshop. But if you don't have any specific questions in that regard, tell me more about what your career interests are, what your educational interests are. What do you generally want to learn more about? What gets you thinking in your courses? What are the things that you think are going to help you? What are your interests as they align with your career objectives? And of course, you can put it in the chat or you can put it in the Menti. Great. Public health education, being a mentor for youth, promoting activities for youth. This is great. Keep sharing, please. It's interesting, actually, as public health education came up in a conversation we had just a couple of days ago with our administrators here on campus about how clearly our program and our program content and values align with that of our colleagues in public health, and how we could potentially be in a really good position to design curricular pathways that would bring our students from child and adolescent development into a master's program in public health. So again, it's great that we have that alignment. I'm super happy to see that there's some interest here. Child psychologist rings very true to my heart. That was exactly what I wanted to do as well. I pivoted a little bit, but it's certainly in line with the work that we do. Basically, just helping people out and having a purpose. I understand that as well. Thank you for sharing all of this. Oops, missing some stuff in the chat here. And then we also want to know some specific information about the early childhood permit. We can talk a little bit more about that today as well. And I see one of our participants in the YMCA apprenticeship program and becoming a family advocate. Absolutely, very good. Love the alignment that we see with the program here. So I do feel like we're all in the right place. Let me go ahead and switch over again. It's great. I love that you shared that here with us today. I want to see how it aligns too with what we talk about in our program here at San Jose State. So as I said before, when I came in as the department chair, I was a faculty member here for several years. But as a faculty member, I really kind of focused on the content that I was teaching and the students I had the privilege to interact with. Now that I am the department chair, I really wanted to see what our program looked like from a more comprehensive overview of our program. So I took all of the language that we promote, everything that we put on our websites, in our syllabi, and our faculty profiles, and generated this word cloud that you see on the shared screen here. And so what I wanted to do with the purpose of this activity, as poorly as it might have been implemented, was just to kind of see how your interests align with that of our department. Of course, we have this central interest in development, but you'll see also how it spans all the way from birth and prenatal development, infancy, toddlerhood, early childhood, into middle childhood, adolescence, and young adulthood. We do have a very strong focus on research and research as it's applied to advocacy, evaluation, and practice, the work that we do in the field. Some other things to highlight here is that we have a focus on parenting as it's being applied in real world settings, but also as we study the cross-cultural differences, the influences of parenting on development, how it contributes to the general context of a child's environment. We have some focus on theory, but again, we generally have a focus on applying that theory to the careers, the work that you do in the real world. Okay, so, oops, sorry, animation's a little off here, but I wanted to also point to where our graduates are. So this is just a small representation of some of the work that our graduates are doing in the field, our alums. So we have, actually, I should point you to our Child and Adolescent Development website. In fact, I can go ahead and I'm going to bring you to it again another time, but I just want to point out before I forget, sjsu.edu/Chad actually has a profile, a whole collection of videos of our students speaking about the work that they're doing in Chad and what they had planned or what they're doing post-graduation. So if you get a chance, you might check that out. I know that about 10 years ago, there was just a lot of questions about what are our students doing with the degrees that they've earned in our program. And now we're doing a lot better as a program to better understand what is next for our students, and then keeping those relationships going. We have our students and our alums come back for career panels. They serve as mentors. They do workshops with us. So for example, the San Jose Public Library, we have some partnerships with them. We work with alums in partnership with them to do evaluations of their children's programming and literature, their story times, evaluations of the programming and literature that they offer with regards to the multicultural representation. We have alums working at the Y, which is great because we partner with them in some of our fieldwork experiences, Heartwood Academy, among others, the LGBTQ+ youth space as well. We have, not only do we have practitioner partnerships with them, we have students that we work with and alums, our researchers and our faculty partner with these agencies as well. So I'm going to transition into a discussion about the foundation work that we offer in early childhood development, in elementary school education, and the community context pathways that we have. So making the argument that yes, absolutely, San Jose State's CHAD is an excellent foundation for these careers because we provide the knowledge base in these pathways. CHAD in general is just great preparation for graduate work as well. We have a lot of students who transition immediately into graduate programming, whether that be getting their post-baccalaureate credentials so that they can teach in elementary and middle school settings, or if they go into, for example, a counselor education program. There we have also just in our college and speech pathology programs, for example. And then outside of our college, but still on San Jose State, we have graduate programs in social work, occupational therapy, and as was brought up earlier, public health. Okay, so these pathways that I had just alluded to in chat, they're not specific majors. They don't show up differently necessarily on your transcripts or on your degree. We have a degree in child and adolescent development, but we have a curriculum pathway that's tailored specifically for our students who are interested in preparing for teaching in elementary and middle school settings. We have another pathway that's tailored for the students who are interested in early childhood education, and then another for community context focus. So let me start with the Prep for Teaching pathway. So it's Child and Adolescent Development with Prep for Teaching is the degree. It's for our students who are interested in being teachers in elementary school settings. We have a focus on TK through 8th grade, the idea being that we're giving our students the appropriate foundation in subject matter and basic skills so that they can transition into a teaching credential program without earning any additional units before they go into the program. I want to point out the focus on TK through 8th. We have a lot of interest here in child and our department on TK and what's happening right now in the state as the TK programming expands. What that means for us in child and adolescent development is that we have a really great opportunity to work with the incoming, rapidly growing workforce of TK teachers, providing appropriate developmental foundation for the work that they're going to be doing with the youngest learners in their settings. So what we want to make sure we're doing is providing this unique opportunity to get developmental foundational knowledge in early childhood development as it translates into these early elementary school settings, TK, kindergarten, and 1st grade. So as a different pathway than doing a liberal studies pathway, which would give you very clear, we have a liberal studies, we mirror our liberal studies program so that we can get that subject matter foundation in math and in the sciences and in literature, but we also add a developmental focus. So we draw on a long history and legacy here at San Jose State. I have a picture here of our normal school. That's how we started, a normal school being a school teaching teachers. That's essentially how the whole university began. And then of course we expanded into the other disciplines, but it still remains the heart of what we do, especially here in the College of Education. Our students who go through this pathway, they get experience working in TK through 8 settings, and they actually get to tailor that to their own interests. So generally speaking, our students will be partnering with our local elementary schools and working with teachers to identify the grade levels they would like to get more experience in. So if you have that focus on the early ages, then you can get that TK or TK or 1st grade experience. If you have a focus on those older grade levels, you can get that experience as well. We have fieldwork experience integrated into our coursework. So sometimes we have students working with, for example, what you see here on the slide is reading partners. So in that case, we're working individually one-on-one with young children in school settings. We also have the practicum experience, which you would have in an actual fully enrolled classroom setting. Okay, so now another point of conversation, especially as of late, is how this program might qualify for a CSET waiver. And if this is of interest to you, we can talk a little bit more about this as we wrap up the presentation and transition into Q&A. But we do have a pathway that will meet that CSET waiver requirement. It has been in place even before the recent legislation that has kind of focused on this and how we can use coursework in our programs, our undergraduate programs, to meet the testing requirements that are embedded in our post-baccalaureate teacher credential programs. Okay, so we have a pathway that's focused on early childhood development that does not meet that CSAT waiver pathway requirement, because this is tailored for our students who are interested in early childhood education and thus are following the child development permit pathway, not the credentials in TK-8 education. It's also a great pathway for students who are interested not only in the preschool setting or infant-toddler teachers, for example, but also as educators and advocates more broadly speaking, with a focus on early childhood education. So I just want to make clear that we have teachers and preschool teachers coming up through the program, but we also have supervisors and directors, people who are interested in launching their own programs, and others who are interested in serving in advocacy roles, for example, through First 5. This pathway also provides an experiential opportunity to work in the field. We will partner with Head Start sites in and around the county. So we have some opportunities for students to work in these Head Start locations. And in many cases, like I said, they're distributed across the county, so students have some flexibility as to where they do that service learning. We also have, though, our own lab school on campus. In fact, it's really truly here on campus, not a block away. It's in the middle of campus. This picture that you can see on the right-hand side with all the pots and pans, that's just outside what we call our central classroom building. So like I said, really quite literally in the middle of campus with our college students walking by all the time. But here we have, as child and adolescent development students ourselves, the opportunity to work with these children in these settings with supervision of some amazing innovators in the field who serve not only as our head teachers and the directors of our lab school, but also as the practicum teachers as well. So there's a seamless transition for our students' work in the field as it then is discussed in the context of the course. Our students currently, with the way that the permit works right now, graduate our program with a site supervisor level permit, which is nearly the highest you would have on that permit matrix. We finally, last but not least, is our community context pathways. I'm actually really excited to talk about this, as it's the most recent development in our program. We had developed this curriculum, this pathway, to really align with our student interests. As we collected information from our students exiting the program, more and more we're starting to talk about their work and their interest in working with children, youth, and families, but not in educational settings necessarily. So they had a strong passion to serve as advocates. They had a passion to support and work with those children and families. And they wanted to do that through the work that you can do in nonprofit, community-based outreach organizations. So this is the focus of this curricular pathway. We have curriculum on program evaluation, program management and adult supervision. And then also we have the practicum experience. We have opportunities for students to work in the field through service learning, kind of a light experience where you're doing about 15 to 20 hours over the course of the semester. And then we also have that more intensive practicum course where you're doing quite a bit more work in the field, partnering with agencies that you can see on this map here. This is just a small sample of all the different partners that we have. What we find here is that our students not only learn from the experiences that they have in the context of the service learning and practicum work that they're doing, but many of them continue to work with the agencies they've worked with before. So we have alums, they graduate through the program and then serve as site directors for some of these outreach organizations. So again, a very strong network, not only with our community partners, but the alums that continue to serve. Okay, so this is just a basic breakdown in case you want to refer back to it again. We have pretty streamlined curriculum for each of these 3 pathways. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have on that as we wrap up the presentation here. I do want to point out we have a MA program as well. So a lot of our students will choose to continue on with us for an MA program in child and adolescent development. This too is a unique program that is broad in focus. It does not offer a teacher credentials, it offers the master's degree. So oftentimes what happens is students with a background in elementary school education and who have already earned their credentials might want to come back and study child and adolescent development from a broader contextual perspective. So we have some students with credentials who are earning their master's degree. We have a lot of students coming in through the program with a focus on early childhood development, seeking to advance on the career lattice by gaining their master's degree and the knowledge that comes with it, of course. We also have students coming into our our graduate program who are interested in doing doctoral studies and see this as an appropriate stepping stone to doing that. Some of those students will go on to professorships in institutes of higher education. Some of our graduates come in to teach with us with their master's degree in chat. So there's a couple different career options if you were to follow this all the way through to a master's degree. I just wanted to point that out, and of course, answer any questions as they come up. Let me tell you a little bit more about our program and faculty more broadly. These are our faculty, or it's a small snapshot of our faculty as we launched online programming. This was the beginning of the fall of last year. So pretty much look the same, relatively two-dimensional, except that in the spring of this year, we're looking to see most of our programming resuming to be on campus. So we can expect that for not only this spring, but for the academic years to follow. This is what we looked like back when we were on campus. And I just want to point out here that we have faculty with expertise spanning a broad range of development and the factors that influence development. These don't actually align with the people that they're pointing to, but I just wanted to point out that we have expertise. We're drawing on expertise, faculty doing research and practice in fields that explore imagination, mental health, adolescence, and civic engagement, the influence of media and social media on civic engagement, maltreatment, and as we talked about, early childhood parenting and language development. So a broad range of expertise that we're drawing on in the faculty, from the faculty here in child and adolescent development. Our program is relatively large. It's by far the largest major in our college. This is kind of the undergraduate programming that we offer in the College of Ed here at San Jose State. Our program is also one of the largest here across all of the colleges here at San Jose State. We have about 830 students at any given time. Most of our students are transfer students, but we do also have a group of students who are coming through as freshmen. We have an incredibly diverse campus. And it's represented very well here in our department as well. These are pictures of our students, of our classes. Most of our classes are small, generally small settings, so no more than 30 students. Our graduate programs seminars can get as few as to 7 to 10. We do have a few classes that align with the picture on the left-hand side that are a little bit larger, right, for about 100, 120 students. But those are generally our introduction classes. I wouldn't expect that our students would have more than a handful of those large classes. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about how we're situated at the university. So this is San Jose State. This is an aerial view of our beautiful campus. In fact, what you see in the bottom right-hand corner, those big buildings there, those are our on-campus residents, our dorms. We're actually buried right behind there. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this is our building here, right next to the parking garage and an amazing rec center that's brand new. We're right next to City Hall, and as you saw on that map earlier, just amazing community programming all around the peninsula. This is our college, what I was just pointing out earlier. This is the Lurie College of Education. Almost everything that we do is right here in this building. This is our home. Not much to say about the building. It doesn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles on the outside, but on the inside is where the magic happens. So this is one of our courses again, one of our amazing instructors. This is what you can expect to experience here in our undergraduate programming and even in our graduate programming, as I mentioned. We have a lot of extras in CHAD. So we have research and teaching apprenticeships. We like to pursue opportunities for our students to get involved in really any way that they feel that they have an interest. The most recent programming that we launched, we're calling a ambassadorship program, but that's yet another opportunity for students, maybe not with the research interest, maybe not with the teaching apprenticeship interest, but maybe with an interest in general higher ed programming. In those cases, we invite those students to come and attend our faculty meetings, our department meetings, our advising team meetings, some of our event planning, as well as the events that we have to offer, so that they can see what it looks like behind the scenes. Moreover, we like to have that student voice in the discussions that we have and the programmings that we have to offer. We're launching a new honors program in the department. We have a CHAD club that's very active. In fact, this picture here is one of the game nights that we had. You can see faculty and students represented here. In fact, the faculty member with the lights behind him, that's one of our teachers, cognitive development, language development. He was facilitating the whole game night, and you can see everybody put their pictures of their pets behind us. I don't know why, but it was a fun night. So lots of extras. We also have an early childhood student alumni network and an early childhood institute that we work with as well. So just a lot of additional extracurricular activities to get involved in. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up with some discussion about what it would look like to apply to this program, and then I'll open it up for questions. So like any other program that we would have offered in the university, really, we have the admission requirements. 60 for a transfer student would be 60 semester or 90 quarter units completed, standard stuff. 4 core courses with a passing grade. So these are our lower division general education requirements. A minimum of a 2.0 GPA and good academic standing at the time of application, meaning you're not currently on probation. So like I said, these don't differ. These are pretty standard requirements for a transfer student at San Jose State. Something to keep in mind for our program in particular, however, is that we require these 4 courses to apply for a major in child and adolescent development. And this is required for any pathway: early childhood, teacher prep, community context. All of our students take a course in child development, lifespan development. These are intro courses. You can certainly have taken them at the community college. Introduction to psychology, like a Psych 1, and statistics. We do offer these courses on campus as well. So if you're falling short of any of those major requirements, then you would plan to take them immediately after your arrival on campus or just before. For our teacher prep students, these students in particular, and only these students, would also have these requirements for a number systems course, introduction to chemistry, and elementary physics. And that goes to the point that I was saying earlier about the subject matter preparation. Our students who are going through the teacher prep pathway will need to have taken courses in math and elementary math, applied math, and teaching math methods, chemistry, physics, the sciences. So this is a matrix that I don't expect you to break down here. There's no reason for you to have to do so. You'll just follow the link that if you signed in a little bit late, I'll go ahead and put it back in the chat. But you can always refer back to this later, and we have some of these resources also posted just directly to our website. But what I want to point out here is that we do have matrices like these that would help students break down what they've already earned at a community college in the region, and how it aligns with the requirements that we have here at San Jose State. So you'll see, for example, the intro to psychology, the child development, and the lifespan represented here with our specific course, the numbers, but the course numbers as they align with all of the other community colleges represented here. I want to point out this is the extra set of courses for our teacher prep pathway. We want to make sure that our students have these courses in math, chemistry, physics, biology. And then we also have arts And these are ones that we can take at the community college level. In fact, we encourage students to take these at the community college level as part of their community college programming before transfer, or even as you are preparing for transfer. It is a good opportunity to get these requirements finished, and they are eligible for articulation. They can transfer into our program. Okay, so we have standard application deadlines for the university. We accept both fall and spring transfers. All of our applications go via the Cal State Apply. So it's the standard application process. You've got a hyperlink here, but you can also follow along and find these links in the shared version of the slideshow. This slide too, you can just go ahead and refer back to, but I'll point out that we have a lot of different resources that we think might be helpful for students and prospective students. Info sessions, of course, articulation information, which courses are transferable into the program. I definitely would encourage interested prospective students or anybody just interested in learning more about the program to check out the website. And then if you have questions, we have this email address listed here. Our Student Success Center is incredibly robust. It's very strong. We have an incredibly good, strong relationship with them as well. I would encourage students to look at that resource as it's represented on the web, thinking about how it could be a landing spot for people who are interested in the program. I'll share that we actually just had a big program review visit happen this week. And our evaluator had an opportunity to talk with some of our students. And one of the things that she shared from that conversation was from our transfer students about their transfer student experience was that coming to San Jose State and to Child and Adolescent Development was like being met with a big hug. So that's kind of a characteristic of our advising program. We do want to make sure our students are supported and plugged into the vast array of resources that we have here on campus. And we also want to make sure we're providing them with the information they need to graduate on time and with hopefully without many hurdles along the way. So here's our website. Like I said, just lots of information that you can find about the academics, our majors, the student resources that we have. And this is the Meet Our Students link that I wanted to point out earlier. All right, so that's it for me talking to you. It was a lot to hear, I'm sure, but I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the slideshow and copy in this evaluation form. Although, Kathleen, you might have beat me to it already. So I'll go ahead and put in the chat a couple different links, though, just to make sure that you have it all in one place. And then we will also use your registration information via Eventbrite to follow up with you with a certificate of attendance. All right, so let's go ahead and find the way for me to exit out. Here we go. And send an evaluation form to everybody here in the chat box. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. What are your questions? One more link for you again. This is just the presentation, but in case you wanted to refer to that, we'll keep it open. You can refer to it later, and we'll also share back with the Teach for the Bay organizers so that there's some information that you can access later on. And Nejin, to your point, I believe the recording will be posted along with others in the weeks to come. All right, what other questions do we have?
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
Okay, all right. So like I said, the questions are probably
because your explanation is so much helpful for me, but I'm in this college. I think so. I have some differences between us and your college, and some specific detail in your college, maybe difference from us, but. My first question is, what is the difference between assistant to be assistant teacher and associate teacher? And how many units you have to pass to get the license or certificate?
Great question.
Thank you.
So while I'm going to go ahead and pull up a resource here just so we have something common to refer to. What I want to do is just make sure I'm not talking while I am. Hang on. Where is that? Oop. It's not coming up right away. Okay, let me go ahead and come back to you on that one, just so I have the matrix to refer to. What I wanted to point out is that we don't make much of a distinction in our program between the assistant and associate level, because like I said, students that are coming out of our program graduate with the site supervisor level of the permit. And so the distinction also between assistant and associate professor is also one that I believe is moving. We as an institution of higher education and under the purview of the CTC is going to move away from anyway. So the matrix is under in the process of being revised, and that distinction is going to go away, meaning that it actually didn't really have much of an implication in the field either. So they're going to try to focus on getting students to the teacher level of the permit or beyond.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
What other questions do you have?
You know, how to be like a TK teacher. TK teacher is different from kindergarten teacher, as like to how to, you know, you have to pass the general course like math and science, you said? Yes?
Yes, currently a TK teacher not only is required to have the teaching credential, so that's the post-baccalaureate credential that you would get after earning a BA. They also need to have specifically child development units. So going back to the conversation before, the child and adolescent development teacher prep pathway is ideal for that because it gets both the child development units to be qualified to teach as TK, but is also the appropriate pathway to go into a teacher credential program. And I should say those teacher credential programs, whereas they're not under the purview of Child and Adolescent Development Department, and thus me as the chair, they are just down the hall. So they're a part of our college as well. It's a pretty streamlined process.
Okay, thank you. You know, like for me, I'm studied in early childhood education, and I passed like right now 12 units, and then study for more. Like I don't know, is it different from you or no? ECE like 21, ECE 22, and then ECE 64, and then if I'm gonna to be like a TK, I have to get more like general, also like English, math, science also, or no?
Correct. If you want to do TK at this point, you would go through that any teacher prep pathway that's designed for K-8, or what's happening is we all need to make the adjustment to say TK through 8. TK is included in that trajectory.
Like but like a B, what is the name of the certificate? Like how many units you have to pass?
24 units is the requirement for the child development units
then
teacher, but they also need to have the BA and the teacher credential.
Oh, okay. BA means what?
Oh, sorry, bachelor's degree.
Oh, bachelor. Like for how many years? How many, like 2 years, 4 years?
Well, well, we call it a 4-year institution and a 4-year program, but you know, students will do the lower division coursework at a community college and then transfer in after they've earned those 60 or 90 quarter units.
Have a long way.
It's a long trajectory for our teachers.
Yeah.
It's definitely worthwhile. It's rewarding. It's informative. We definitely, I think, we oftentimes don't get credit for the fact that not only are we learning how to teach, but we're learning the material that we need to teach. And so it's quite an educational trajectory in that regard.
But it doesn't need for preschool, no?
Not so for preschool, in our program, you graduate with that bachelor's degree, and that would immediately make you qualified via the child development permit at the site supervisor level.
Thank you. Sorry, can I leave the meeting and then, because I have to go.
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your questions. I'm going to go ahead and send everybody who registered via Eventbrite. Then if you did that, then I've got your email address. If you entered your email address, I'll follow that up with the certificate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Anybody
day.
else have any questions before we sign off?
I just have a quick question. I went into another workshop yesterday morning. It was for the SAGE and the SAGE program, like the teaching pathways. But I did notice you said you had like CHAD extras, like the CHAD club. Could we be in those accelerated programs and be part of the clubs at the same time?
Oh, that's a great question. I would want to say absolutely yes. CHAD Club is usually focused on those CHAD students. And in the SAGE program, we don't have one that we've launched in CHAD yet. But events and programming that the CHAD Club offers, the networking opportunities and all of that are absolutely going to be available to you. We have some other interdisciplinary opportunities, and in those cases as well, like the Early Childhood Student Alumni Network, those are not department specific, so they're absolutely going to be available to all of our students here in the College of Ed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great question. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'll hang here. Like I said, if you give me—
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Well, right now, like, I want to say thank you for the information. Listen all these workshops. I'm really thinking about all the paths that I have to. The only option that I have is not becoming a teacher to be able to be with other with kids now. And I don't know if you can you can guide me or the school that you work for. I don't know if they have like a kind of career or something they can help with parents with kids with special needs, but like no working with or like everything together. Most of the things working with the parents with kids with special needs to get through all this process, academic process and everything. I don't know if I explained myself correctly, sorry.
Let me follow up with a question. So are you asking about careers opportunities that are not necessarily as a teacher?
Yes.
Yes, so I can speak to that absolutely. We have students in all of the different pathways who have decided at the point of graduation that they're going to take a different career path. Even with a teacher prep pathway, there are quite a few opportunities to be involved in a school system without necessarily being part of a classroom. So there are some administrative roles that our students have pursued. They can look at, for example, the development of curriculum versus the actual implementation of curriculum. So not as a teacher, but as an administrator in a school system. That school system could be a public school system or a private school system. We have students going through the early childhood pathway who, as I had mentioned before, pursue careers in First Five, in advocacy work. They might also do professional development in early childhood programming. And in the same respect as what I was saying earlier with our teacher prep students, they might be in the field of learning more about how children learn and what curriculum we can develop or what particular professional development resources we can offer to make sure that our teachers who are interacting with them and our parents who are providing those first educational experiences for our children have that information as well. And then I think the most obvious pathway would be the community focused pathway. As I said before, our students are coming out of our programming saying, it's great, we love it, but we don't always want to become a teacher. And so we wanted to develop a pathway that would expand our opportunities for careers in child and adolescent development that support children, youth, and families, both directly and through program development and evaluation, so that we can appropriately support and also advocate for our children, youth, and families in the area. So some of those students will come out of our program and go into child and family advocacy. So sometimes they'll get involved in the court system, working to advocate on behalf of specific children and families. We have other students who go through and become site directors or management of program outreach community outreach programs. And so in that respect, they might be interacting directly with the children and families they're serving, but also engaging in program planning, grant management, applying for grants, appropriately managing funding and community resources. So a lot of opportunities, I want to say, through a child and adolescent development program that are not necessarily teacher focused, and a lot of opportunities with having earned the BA degree, but there are also a lot of different avenues by which to pursue additional credentials, even if it's not directly after your graduation with a BA, shortly thereafter as you get acclimated to the field.
Okay. Okay, thank you so
Does
much.
that help to answer your question a little bit?
Yes, it is. Like I said, it was so much information that I have from this workshop. Like I've been thinking, whoa, I like be around kids, but it's not necessary that I have to be in a classroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think,
okay.
yeah, just a wide world of opportunities in those settings.
And before these workshops and your presentation, I didn't know about that. And thank you so much.
I think that's something we really value in our program, is just to make sure that we understand the diverse range of career trajectories our students are pursuing, and making sure that the information we're providing is applicable to that broad range. And that also is manifest in our graduate program as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm just going to go ahead and drop this in the chat as well. This is the Meet Our Students page. And there's a couple of video vignettes as you scroll through, and you can see how students have approached this major and this content area from such diverse perspectives, where they were coming from, what their interests were, and then what they did with their degrees. So I saw you a couple questions in the chat about recording. And so I'll just remind everyone that the recordings will be posted, but not immediately. So we are recording this session, and we'll go ahead and turn that over to the organizers of the conference, and they'll go ahead and post that with other links in the weeks to come. So yes, it's available, but not immediately after the session.
Sorry, Dr. Emily, you talk about the email. Where we have to put the email? In the chat or in the link that you send it to us to log in?
Yes, if you registered for the event, I already have your email and you're all set. If you have the link from somebody else, if somebody just passed it along to you, I might not have an address, you could go ahead and just put it in the chat box.
Okay, yeah, register with that and I get the link from my email.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then you'll get your certificate after that. And you'll also then have our email address, because we'll send it through our department.
Hello.
Sandra?
Yes, hi. I came in late to the meeting because for the technical issue that problem with my computer. But I registered for this, workshop. I didn't receive any link.
Okay. Do you want? Okay. So welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Yeah. And you can certainly find anything that you missed via the recordings that Kathleen reminds us are going to be posted on the Teach for the Bay website. Sandra, if you just put your email address into the chat box, I can make sure that you have the appropriate certification for having attended the workshop. And I will make sure that you have a link to the presentation slides.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question, Professor? You said they're gonna to send in a few weeks, yeah, because we turned our assignment for the next week. So is it possible to send it in like our email or no? The recorded.
Actually, I was hoping Kathleen would still be on the line for that question. I don't know. It's
okay.
So
Or my professor told us via the email, we're gonna get the all recorded for list or whoever gonna to report it to rewind, because when you talk, it's too fast to write it down whatever you said. So I need the recorded. So
no problem. I get what you're saying. So when I follow up with an email, I'll just link to the video as well.
And then they're gonna send it the certificate via our email. I'm in my email. Okay, I submitted the form. Thank you so much and have a good one.
All right, thank you. All right, just to wrap that up, put your email in the chat if you weren't registered for the conference. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and email you back with the video link, the PowerPoint presentation, and your certificate of attendance.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for attending. It was nice to see you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all your information.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for coming.